I've come to recognize two of my oldest and most frequent trauma related thoughts. The first one is, I have to do something. I've felt this sentence so strongly. I felt it when I was lazy for too long. At the end of laziness, I was just like, I have to do something. I gotta get out of this. And at the end of depressive episodes, similarly, and anxious episodes, it's just, I've thought, I just cannot let this continue. Something has to change, these synonymous thoughts. And then the second thought, that's also my oldest and most repetitive and trauma related thought that I've recognized is, there's nothing I can do. This feeling of helplessness, it's just like, usually in those moments I feel so much like I've tried standing up and I just kept on falling. So why would I do anything but just sit here in the pain of being fallen? Why would I try again? And so you take these two thoughts together of, I have to do something and there's nothing I can do. And man, I feel blasted with a realization that my life my entire life, at least my adult life, really has been a giant pattern of trying things and then feeling like I failed and then not trying anymore. And it's just, those are like my two different vibrations. And it's just hit me like a ton of bricks, man. There are of course times when things work. Mostly in my 20s, I tried so many different things. I tried drugs, I tried friends, I tried more drugs, I tried meditation, I tried listening to gurus, self-help influencers, and all of these things. And I found so many things, but honestly, I didn't realize at the time that I had ADHD. So I'd try things, and then they didn't work after a day. Or maybe like I tried a couple times within 1 week to meditate, and I'm just like, oh man, this is really not doing anything. So I just never did it again for a long time. Honestly though, there have been some big turning points in coming away from my depression and anxiety of the 20s, of my of my second decade of my life. And I know people might not like this, but the biggest times when I was in the deepest pits and the biggest changes happened were honestly, those were the times that I turned back to Jesus Christ. I was like, I'm going to read the Bible every day. I'm going to go for a run. I threw in, as soon as you get a spiritual practice, like read the Bible every day, your positivity, it's going to increase from there. So I threw in extra practices. I was going on a run a couple times a week, starting to meditate more and stuff like that. And I did things that worked for sure, but I kept forgetting them or coming back. I always slide back into, okay, now things are okay, so I can just feel okay. Okay, I'm feeling okay. Oh, maybe I'd like to feel good. Oh, things are feeling good. I'd like to continue feeling good. And then you might be able to see where this is going if you're familiar with psychology or philosophy or anything like that. A very hedonistic mindset. It's just like, okay, well, as soon as you're okay, you want to feel good. And as soon as you're good, you want to continue that and feel even better. And it's just, if you know psychology, really, that's a recipe for disaster, because that's what addicts do. And that's what nearly every single person on this human is. I believe addiction is so much deeper than than we realize. I believe addiction to thoughts really is the most terrible addiction that humankind has right now. It's really rough. Our attachment to our thoughts. I'm getting a little off track here. Coming back to me and just feeling in this pattern of, I have to do something and then there's nothing I can do. And it's like, what's the goal? And if you've been listening, you might have heard it's probably mostly to get away from depression and move towards happiness. And thinking about it, man, you would not believe how many times I searched YouTube and Google and stuff like how to be happy. I bought a book from the Mayo Clinic, How to Be Happy. I bought Jordan Peterson's books. I bought The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And these things are great resources. They really, really are. But they're not going to help you if you don't read them and if you don't understand them or apply them and things like that. So obviously maybe that's obvious and I shouldn't even mention that. But so with my spiritual beliefs, I've learned that there is actually a source of happiness. Now this is of course is my belief. I believe this to be true 100% without a doubt. There is a source of happiness. There is a source of all things that are good, all things that are bad. There is a source of everything. A singular source of everything. And I realize that I know, actually. I know these things. And why, if I know how to live a happy life, am I not living a happy life? And I don't know which ancient philosopher said it, but there is a quote that is so applicable here. And you know, it's not just me. This is a human condition type of scenario that I'm talking about. The quote is something along the lines of, man will more readily give up anything but his suffering. So it's like, you know, why am I suffering? And there's ancient people who talk about that too. You know, if you are familiar with anything about the Buddha, you may know the truth that he spoke of, which is the cause of suffering is desire. Which is a pretty small statement to explain something super duper huge. But my initial thought to that was just like, why would I? So the answer is to give up my desires, okay? And then I'll be happy. It just didn't click in my mind. Because for one, it seems that happiness comes when your desires reach you. And, you know, through my years of being a human, I learned the answer to that one too. Which is, as soon as you get something, you usually, if it's rooted in who you are and who you are supposed to be, then you'll continue with it and it'll be beautiful. But most things, it's like, oh, I want some ice cream. Oh man, now I got a tummy ache. Oh, I want to play some video games. Oh man, I haven't slept and I should have went to bed 3 hours ago. And you can substitute TV shows, using your phone, TikToks, whatever you want. It's all addictions. Man, there is almost no thing on this physical earth that is not an addiction. I swear. In fact, another odd one, popularity. Nobody really sees that as an addiction. But man, is that a source of dopamine right there, is popularity. Okay, so back to the question. If I am a person that believes that there are things that I can do to live a happier life, you know, like loving other people, service to others, learning to detach myself from my thoughts, prayer and meditation and those things, why is it that I still seem to be suffering? And then that led us to that quote of, why does man hold on to his suffering? And it's like, yeah, why is it that I can see that I'm like, it's like I'm fighting against the goodness of God? And it's like, no, it's like I'm almost trying to say no. Instead of doing what would lead me to God, I would rather eat a bucket of ice cream. And what is that, you know? Is that stuff that's like been built into me by society, or choices that I've made that now I'm reaping the rewards of, the just rewards? And how do we stop fighting ourselves? Is there any other way but to just feel the pain of inner conflict and that can be the only catalyst to heal. The pain and simple hard work of, as Jordan Peterson might put it, having to be your own parent, treating yourself like you're your own child, and telling yourself to do your chores and clean your room. I'm inclined to say that that's a bit simplistic. Well, maybe not simplistic is the right word, but I would be inclined to say that if you do clean your room out of a sense of escaping the neuroticism, it's just like, I just want to be happy again. And you're just reaching for happiness or running away from whatever negativity you're feeling, then you are cleaning your room neurotically. And you are increasing your neuroticism. At least this is a belief that I have. That what you do is always spiritually infused with the energy of your intent. In some way, I think that's why it's so easy to tell whoever a scammer is, even if they have perfect grammar, and they make themselves very presentable. These email scams, it's just like you can see them a mile away. And it's just like, wait, there's no way I would have just randomly won a cruise ship. Well, that's cool. Definitely a scam. And if there's somebody who genuinely loves you, and like your mom saying I love you, or somebody your father, whoever, is definitely different than a stranger saying it. Even if they said it with the exact same inflection and tonation, it's a different energy, and that is really the human connection, I believe. And holy crap, I keep on getting way off track of this script that I originally wrote, but my belief is that the best thing that you can do for any healing at all is to find a practice that helps get you out of your mind, helps get you out of thinking. We wake up every single day and we have this freaking system in our brain that's the default mode network, they call it. We wake up and it's just like, oh, what time is it? In your head, you have this thought. What time is it? You have this thought. Oh, where's my phone? This thought of like, oh, it's probably already I'm already late to work. It's this thought. And then your mind is just this thought machine running endlessly all day. And then you go to sleep and do it again, and you just never get any rest. However, if you think about, you might be familiar with the concept of flow. You can also think about little kids. They don't think about what they're doing. They just experiment. Life is a big science lab to them in some ways. And really what inspired me to begin talking to a microphone, to a computer, was a video I saw that was a video very, very similar to this one. And he was talking about, I just miss being a kid, and that hit me hard. He's like, I miss being a kid, just feeling the simplicity and beauty of everything, and just like almost without a thought, he said. And right there, without a thought. It's that as we grow older, we begin thinking. And honestly, if we are that one simple sentence, if we as a society just simply are able to find ways to turn our brain backward, and so to speak, if you get my drift, we got to figure out how to turn our brain off and live in our bodies and just experience life rather than thinking about how we are experiencing life. There is a big difference and a big line between those two things. How to experience life and thinking about experiencing life. Okay, well, like I said, this video is a little chaotic, but back to my script here. We did mention the idea of you can get rid of your suffering because the Buddha says just get rid of your desires. And I was like, no, I don't want, I still have things I want to do. And they're like, what about, like, I want to get closer to God. I want to be more spiritual. I want to be a creative person, And there is a distinction here. that we really have to understand is that desire is just not just simply it exists or not. There are different levels of desires. There are high desires and low desires, you know. And these are things that we understand once we give a second thought, you know. If you want to go for a run every day, that's a high desire. That's something that would be happy, healthy, and good for you. But of course there's the desires of, I mean, ice cream would make me happy. Honestly, I would be happy a little bit if I had a little bit of ice cream, but we know that it's a low desire because it's also addictive, and that you're going to probably have more than you really need to begin with. And how much do you really need to begin with? And maybe not even the first spoonful, but you know, and then those things can come back, and thankfully, obviously, come back to bite you and hurt you, in the sense of, you know, you got a tummy ache and you learn not to eat too much ice cream. Okay, I've been rambling, and I've told you about my spiritual practices and things like that. There's one main teacher that I really love listening to, and he says, just cultivate a spiritual practice. And as you do that, what is spirituality? That is essentially recognizing that you have an identity beyond your thoughts. It's at different levels. You can have different definitions, really, but a lot of it is getting out of your mind. Like, your mind is like a slave master, and you don't even realize it. There's a beautiful quote: to escape prison, you must first realize you are in prison. You know, you don't realize your mind is a trap so much that's causing all of your suffering. I mean, we're so distracted today, and that's by design, for sure. But my teacher, you know, he says, just develop a spiritual practice. You'll slowly become more peaceful, and your desires will become of higher things, and the lower desires will simply become uninteresting. You know, you'll realize eventually, after a while, that, like, especially for us men, if you jerk off too much, you're losing out on protein, and that can affect you physically, you know, and you'll feel that. And then sooner or later, as you age, you know, you make these connections. Oh, just always going through for whatever I want and feels good with the most immediate gratification is not always a good thing. Wow, who would have thought? And unfortunately, in order to articulate these things, we have to go through the pain of growth. You know, boomers will say, just go outside and rake some leaves, you know, and it's just like, what the heck are you talking about? Strap on my bootstraps and what? I'm depressed and sad, and like, you saying go out and get a job, like, what the fuck? But there is a wisdom, and they know what they're talking about to a degree, but they don't understand. They don't understand at all. I'll be honest. And if it's okay, I'd just like to share my dream real quick, that I just, in my mind, when I'm able to articulate these things, man, my dream life is that I buy a van. I don't have a car at the moment, but I'd love to buy a van, and I'd get a pet rat, and we would live in the van together. He'd be in a cage, otherwise, I'm not going to let him eat cables and stuff. And then I would move to wherever's closest to a volunteer Habitat for Humanity, and they have a lot of them I've seen have a volunteer for hire, so it's like not real wages, but I don't need real wages. I keep my costs low, and I just live a volunteer life, and very simple, and I have my rat who I love, and it seems beautiful. It seems beautiful in my mind. I know for sure that is not what everybody wants. Whatever your dream is, I really, the whole reason I'm talking like this is I might be, I'm bashing overthinking a lot, but I am overthinking right now. But I'm overthinking in a healthy way, in an internal way. An internal way. That's another distinction we need to make in order to grow. I'm hoping these chats get a little more organized as I go on here. I'm recording this and I just feel so bad for whoever's listening. I hope this makes sense. I hope that people get something out of this. I hope that people can understand and feel the love that I have for them, that I have for just society at large, especially the people that are suffering. Because that's been me. And millennials are growing up, and millennials have had it really, really terrible. So the healer generation is about to emerge, and I'm not kidding. We're about to do, just by talking to one another in a different context now, growing up and having experienced this life, this modern America, you know, we're finally going to figure it out here soon. I believe that. I believe it. There's this neuroscientist I watch a lot on YouTube. His name's Dr. Alok Kanogia, Dr. K. He's Healthy Gamer GG, if you're familiar with him. He's a great, great resource. I love him so much. He's a neuroscientist who has also been a monk at one time, and is comes from a history of Hindu practices and spirituality. So he covers both the side of spirituality and the side of neuroscience, which I love. I love where those two meet, and that's my home right there. So I love that guy. And he talks about, he has this point that he's mentioned about something like in the brain, the thing that heals us is awareness. We don't necessarily have to do anything to heal ourselves. We just have to become aware of the problems. We just have to look inside. Stop looking at your screen for a second. Maybe I said that too judgmentally, but I love you anyway. Either way, if you want to, whenever you want to, I invite you to stop looking at your screen for a moment and just feel inside your body. If thoughts arise, you don't have to meditate. I'm not talking about meditation. You can wander your mind all day long. In fact, you probably should. You probably have lots of open tabs in your mind that you've just forgotten they were there, probably. I read this story recently about a guy who said he was smoking from when he was 12 years old to 40 years old, and then he stopped smoking and he started having dreams about being bullied in high school. And it's just funny because that's such a great example of open tabs that you just you always forgot to close them. Go back. It's okay. Just take a second. Let your brain be a brain instead of consuming all the time. It's okay. You can take my advice because I do know a thing or two. I don't have any credentials other than just being a human being. Just being a human being in this modern era, and maybe a little older, maybe a couple years more than you, probably. Statistically speaking, probably a couple more years than you. I'm 32 years old, and yeah, I still got problems, man. You know, sometimes there are things that are really like I feel like you should have in life. You should have a relationship with some friends or family, but there are people that I just stopped talking to that I loved so much, and I just, you know, I still get depressed. Man, the things that are beautiful in life, I feel like I need to subconsciously, you know, I need to cut myself off from them, and like I'm not supposed to go near that. That's too beautiful. I'm gonna mess that shit up, you know. And there are those thoughts for sure, but those are tabs that you've left open that are just kind of being like, oh yeah, I'm back here. You kind of fucking suck. That's what this tab is saying, and it's like, oh, let me just go back to that and be like, oh, yeah, that was not me saying that. That was like my abusive dad, or that was that one bitchy ex or something. Maybe you shouldn't even be calling an ex bitchy or something or whatever. You know, it's just all of these are emotions and dramas that you're so tied up in that you don't even realize. And it's just the art of life of coming back to childlikeness. The secret to coming back to childlikeness is just loosening those up in whatever way you can, in any way that you can. And a lot of times it takes pain. A lot of times it takes patience, and it sucks that those things, you know, they're kind of required. But if there's one theme that I would like to have with a talk like this, that is, I'm sorry for its chaos again. The one theme that I want to have throughout my channel is healing. like I said, just talking, just I encourage you to make, if you feel like there are words that come up in your mind, it's just like, oh wow, I feel this too, or like maybe like whatever scenario you have of like, I was abused, and I could talk about that to people of abuse, you know. I don't want people to feel pressured, but I really want to encourage people to simply open up and talk to each other, because this has been healing for me, and it's been thought-provoking for you, which I consider to be kind of one step before healing. so yeah, I'm just gonna let the rest of the video play out, and if you like Smite, feel free to keep watching the rest of the video. It's a fun little Janus game. It's co-op, it's bots, so that's why I'm doing so amazing and one-shotting everybody, if you haven't recognized that by now. To all my fellow Smite lovers out there, thank you for watching, and again, just bless you, and I love you. Please, if there's anything that you can think of that's difficult in life, just take 1 second, take one deep breath, and I'll do it with you here at the end, and we'll just, whatever we're holding on to, we're just going to let go of it, even just the tiniest little bit, okay? Okay, we're going to do it together here. Here we go. Inhale. Don't worry if your breath was a little different than mine. I got big old lungs. I'm a big guy. And I've been doing lots of breathing. It's the only way I've survived this long, to be honest. Lots of breathing. Breathing is a magic, miraculous thing that we have been gifted with. You have the power to breathe. And so you have the power over your reality, really. Whatever you think your reality is. I love you. Please, please, please talk to me, because I'm lonely. Please. I mean, that's a joke, but it's true. Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Watch Smite. Stop listening to me. Just watch Smite. Bye.
I'm the greatest. Cancel that.